listening to the songs while we're talking, I'm seeing where you're coming from a lot. like like a lot. Like I wish I came up with this idea.
Off to a good start in the Big 2-6. Demar's
That's
agreeing
what
with me. I'm doing something right. Oh my goodness.
I'm like,
Look,
this is brilliant because I wish I came up with that. That's what you know somebody else has a great idea. It's like, fuck, I wish I came up with that.
are my name is Adriel Smiley, aka AdrielSmiley.com, aka Adriel Smiley Official, aka Champion Scribe. And we are here with His Royal Highness, aka the Bunny, aka No Longer a Munch, aka Green Goblin, aka your favorite Jafakin, King Grant.
This guy's bringing up, oh, you guys are not there for the very, very, very interesting conversation where I was writing in patois and Adriel could not believe his eyes. Could
That
not
part is
believe
true. I could not believe my eyes.
I could not believe his eyes. Couldn't imagine me writing patois, reading patois, even though I'm full-blooded 100% Jamaican. Well, a sprinkle of Irish because my great grandfather. But we're here today to talk about the great Rakim the second, ASAP
Mm-hmm.
Rocky, and his latest album, Don't Be Dumb. ASAP Rocky back for the first time in 8 years, I believe.
Yep.
And we are, beholden to basically anything that he was going to drop because I have been curious as to whether or not this album was ever coming out. Okay. So when he said, "Oh, Don't Be Dumb" is coming this year, it's coming next year, it's coming 2 weeks, I put him in the Kanye zone. For the people that are new, the Kanye zone is I don't believe it's coming out until I can press it with my finger on the DSP. Okay. He had got to the point people in the Kanye zone. Kanye, ASAP Rocky, Brianna, um, the guy who did the box, who I'm now forgetting his name in this very moment.
Roddy Rich,
Roddy Rich.
the guy
The,
who did the box, is crazy.
that's where he's going to be unless he drops to the Navy, okay? So he's in the Kanye zone. Who else? There are plenty of artists, but those are a good handful of them to start off with. So ASAP Rocky, I put him in that zone. I'm like, until I can press the button on my phone, I don't believe it's happening. So all the way up until basically, even when he did it's a couple of interviews, you're seeing more and more of him. I'm like, I got to see it to believe it. But it has been seen and it has been heard. Don't Be Dumb is out. Adriel, how are you feeling leading up to this album?
He's also in the Kanye zone for me. Again, we'll see it when it happens. He is kind of one of those artists I feel like is a perfectionist to his own detriment. A million tweaks, a million changes, trying to get the album just right. I wasn't worried about the quality of the project just because he hasn't put out a bad album yet.
Hmm.
The long wait was a little worrisome for sure in terms of it being a good album. Because usually if you have something good, you're not gonna wait as long. But I had a feeling I thought the album would at least be good. ASAP Rocky, I've been a huge fan of him for a long time. I've seen him 3 times in concert, once with Wiz Khalifa, once with Tyler the Creator, and then once with basically just him. He caused a scene outside Coca-Cola Coliseum a few years ago. If anyone was there when he did that and you're listening to this, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But he's one of those artists who his celebrity has dwarfed his music. And that's kind of always been the case, but maybe it was closer when he was putting out music more consistently. The
Hmm.
longer it took to put out music is the more that his celebrity got all the way up here and his music became so far from that. And why I mention that is because his music has actually always been good. He's had great B-sides, great deep cuts on his albums, great experimental records. And I think that he's one of the artists whose celebrity kind of grew so big that he wasn't known for having good music. And
Okay.
I think that's part of what people really question so often. And I spent a lot of time this past week listening to his past albums, and I was like, yeah, I think this is one of those situations where there aren't a ton of bad songs on these albums, but the way everyone was like concerned and confused again, I don't want to compare him to Ice Spice. Ice Spice is going too far, but it's one of those celebrities who they're known so much for celebrity that you forget they actually make good music. And that was ASAP Rocky as well. His favorite single from the past few years, that I just want to highlight quickly before we move on, is DMB, where Rihanna was in the video as well. Um, there's a good chance that song plays at my wedding. So learn your lyrics from now. But I want to go back in time. This is our first ASAP Rocky review because the last time he put out an album, this podcast did not even exist.
Yeah.
Okay, we a lot has happened since either of us were in 2018. I will say that for sure. 2007, he joins ASAP Mob. Okay, it's founded by ASAP Yams, ASAP Bari, ASAP Ills. He joins in '07. The debut mixtape, Live Love ASAP, comes to us in 2011. It features hit songs like Peso and Purple Swag, and this earns him his record deal with RCA. What do you remember about this Peso Purple Swag time? Because this was when ASAP Rocky hit the streets. Like as soon as ASAP Rocky came out, I felt like instantly everyone was dressing like him, trying to rap like him. It was very influential almost automatically.
Yeah, so this came out, Live Love ASAP came out in 2021. And I think
2021? You mean
or sorry,
2011?
2011, sorry. 2011, 2011, 2011. And I remember the first time hearing, I think I had heard Purple Swag before, the first one, the first version of Purple Swag. And I was like, it's okay. But then in 2012, in 2012, I think I was leaving, I left for university. I was at Brock, and one of my friends, Mike, yeah, one of my friends, it was Mike who introduced me. He was like, "Oh, have you heard this song by ASAP Rocky?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, Purple Swag. I think I've heard it." He's like, "No, no, no, it's this other one." And he showed me Peso, and then it all changed for me. I was like, "Oh, I see what's happening here." Okay, very unique production style, very unique, like element ability to rap on like this is this a hip hop beat? Like, you know what I mean? Like that's what Peso was like. So that's how I got first introduced to ASAP Rocky, like legit, where I'm like, oh, this is cool, right? And that was shout out to Mike. I even remember exactly when that happened. I was in my university house. I can't even remember where. For some reason, we are chilling in my room. I think we are playing like SSX, the latest SSX, like SSX. I think it was just SSX. And he just like had my laptop open and he just like played that song. And yeah, so that's where it started for me with ASAP Rocky, which is kind of shocking actually. That this is the first time I've really told that story.
I think the interesting thing about ASAP Rocky and part of why I think this album is doing so well commercially is he's one of those artists that when he kind of got introduced, came on the scene, everyone kind of knew at that time. Like
Yeah.
it's not the same as some artists who have underground buzz for 2 or 3 years and then they hit the mainstream. Now, I have a friend who the first time he heard of J. Cole was Workout. And he became a huge J. Cole
Wow.
fan, but that was the first time he heard of J. Cole was Workout, you
That's
know?
crazy.
ASAP Rocky was not that. Like Purple Swag, Peso were the two that everyone kind of heard at once. And
Hmm.
it's interesting because from this album, Purple Swag's probably the song I listened to the least.
Yeah.
Um,
The second one is
but
better. I like the second Purple Swag way
the
better
second
than
Purple Swag is way better. I agree
yeah.
with that. But this is one of those mixtapes from that blog era that I could give you word for word, front to back. So I definitely remember that time. As I'm wearing black right now, this was the time when I was like, yeah, I'm ASAP Mob unofficially. They don't know it, but I know it. Um, this led to his debut studio album, Long Live ASAP. This is around the time where I saw him live for the first time. It was him, Wiz Khalifa, Trinidad James, and Joey Badass. Talk about a lineup
What
in
a combo,
2013.
yeah.
Um,
Trinidad
but this,
James. Trinidad James was hot then though.
yeah,
All gold everything.
yeah, he was doing his thing. This was probably the album where A$AP Rocky was the most visible as a celebrity and a musician. He had a huge hit with fucking Problems, Wild for the Night, One Train,
Goldie?
Fashion Killer, Goldie. Goldie was the one that started this for me with this project because I heard that song first. And I was like, oh, this is the same ASAP. Oh,
Hmm.
wow. So that was huge for me when he was kind of using the distorted voice, which does on this album as well, and became part of his trademark sound that you hear throughout all of his projects. But my question for you with Long Live ASAP is Long Live ASAP a classic?
Mm, I would say so. I would say so. I would say it would cross over into that space. So I'm looking here at the track list. Goldie, PMW, Level, I think is I like Level. Level. Hell
Hmm.
is probably the one that I don't really like, but fucking Problems, I like Pain, Wild for the Night, really good. One Train, Fashion Killer, Phoenix is okay. But Suddenly, I love Suddenly. Ghetto
Suddenly's one of my
Symphony,
favorites.
one of my
Yep.
favorite A$AP Rocky tracks ever, I think.
Yeah.
Very unusual production style. He loves an unusual produced song. It is very,
100%.
very helter skelter in his production throughout his discography.
Angels as well was a big song visually.
Yeah,
So to me, I do think it's a classic, and I want to stop here for a second before we move on to the rest of his career because I think some people would say "Live Love ASAP" is a classic as well. So
I'm there.
this is two classics back to back to start your career, and again you have the masses knowing about you from the jump. Like I don't know how many Drake fans can rap comeback season word for word. Me and my family can, but I think most Drake fans, their fandom truly starts, at Thank Me Later, maybe So Far Gone, but Take Care was probably the biggest album for a lot of people when they're like, okay, I'm full blown Drake fandom.
Hmm.
For ASAP Rocky to be again a big name from his first mixtape, I would say still unheard of to this day. I still can't think of anyone who fits that. In the comments, let us know. You can comment on Spotify now. You can comment on YouTube of an artist who basically once their first mixtape, first songs were out, they were a big name.
Maybe
Joey
50
Badass is
Cent.
the other one that I think of. 50 Cent is the opposite of that completely.
Like,
I'm
hold on,
sorry
so
for laughing like that.
maybe it
No,
was
he's opposite of
50.
that completely. No, opposite of that completely.
Hold on a second.
If you weren't in the know, then in the club being the first song you heard made some sense. But How to Rob is like 3 years before that, and there's like four mixtapes between How to Rob and In the
Oh yeah,
Club.
here I'm looking at. You know what? I'm not. I wasn't listening to. I think maybe the. What was the first album I heard? I think maybe the first project was God's Plan, which is kind of funny considering Drake exists.
Wow. Okay, so let's move on. Leading up to At Long Last ASAP, he had a couple singles. Multiply in 2014, which is one of my favorite ASAP songs to this day. Lord Pretty Flocko Jody, which dropped on New Year's 2015. If you were there, you know exactly what I'm talking about when that song came out. Absolute heater. And then the album comes out in the spring of 2015 with features from Future, MIA, Joe Fox, Schoolboy Q, Kanye West, Juicy J, Miguel, Rod Stewart, Yasin Bey. It went number one. It was certified platinum. This is probably my personal favorite ASAP Rocky project, or maybe one I listen to the most. To this day, I listen to this album the most. But this to me is where we started to get what became Testing and Don't Be Dumb. I
Mm.
think he had a couple of songs that were still of the old ASAP flow, but this is where he got a lot more experimental.
Yeah, I think that we're leading into the latest album where this is where you and I begin to diverge. Okay. You've had all this goodwill with A$AP Rocky. So have I. I love him as a person in the world. And I think that musically, there's been like I don't know if it's just me or a certain sect of people or whatever, but there's been a divergence in whether or not you think Testing is a good album. And I am one of those people who thinks not really. That's maybe like it was okay. There was cool songs. There were some cool songs, but I wasn't in the sphere of thinking that this is really good. And I think leading up to this album, there is a group of people who are like, yeah, we've been going, it's been a heater all the way through. And for me, when we got to testing, I was like, I don't know. And then he went away for 8 years. And that has led me to be more and more questioning. on whether or not this album was even going to be good, to be honest. Because when Testing came out, I was kind of lukewarm, and then when you're gone for a extended period of time after being lukewarm, I'm like, I don't know if this is gonna be good. I don't
Yeah,
know. How did you feel leading into this?
testing in 2018 is kind of, I think, the start of where we get now of him sonically.
Hmm.
Now, to be fair, testing did have one of his biggest records of all time with Praise the Lord with him and Skepta. That comes from testing, but there was not kind of that same buzz around the project like he had had before.
Yeah,
He had some of a lot of same big features. Again, Frank Ocean is on this, French Montana, Kodak Black, FKA Twigs.
did you
But
like ASAP
test it,
Forever
the song.
with Moby?
I actually did like. Well, I love that Moby song, so maybe that's why I'm
Yeah,
just
okay.
predisposed to like the. But that Moby song I do like, so I was just I like ASAP
Okay.
Forever. But I remember seeing him live at that time, and his set did include a lot of the older records, and he kind of promoted that album by saying, "I'm experimenting. That's why it's called testing. Like I'm testing things out." But it's something we've talked about with artists in the past. One I think of is like someone like Harry Styles, where the music might not match up, but you're still seen as a big star. I feel like testing didn't really accomplish that for ASAP Rocky. I think his star kind of faded a little bit.
Yeah.
To a lot of people, that it's like, oh, he kind of lost his fastball, so to speak. Testing is an album because I saw it live and I've revisited it a few times, and I'm like, I don't think it's as bad as everyone thinks that it is, as a full body of work, but I think he doesn't have those punchy songs that he's always had. Like I think of a Suddenly from the first album, that is a B side really, but a lot of people's favorite ASAP Rocky song.
Yep.
And that song you can show someone and they can be like, oh wow, this is. He didn't have as many of those moments. As a full project, the album was solid to me, but he was missing like a LVL, a Suddenly, Ghetto Symphony, like those kind of songs that may not be the hype, radio record, so to speak, but you can still show someone and say, look, the quality is still there. So leading into this project, I was kind of dubious because my thing with the artists like ASAP Rocky is what songs do you promote as your singles and what songs are actually on the project?
Okay.
Because there's been a time when those two things have been the same for me of like, this is the single and I like it, like Goldie. I love Goldie. Great choice as a single. Those two things can go together. I don't always trust that those things will go together when it comes to an ASAP Rocky album. Because in the past, I've had songs that I liked that people have not heard before. They don't know those records. Before we go into the actual album itself, I think this is a great place to set us up for where we're headed, is knowing what is your favorite ASAP Rocky song.
For me, I think that's gonna be Kissin' Pink. I think is one of just like
Kiss and
what's the
Pink
best?
is so good.
Sorry?
Kiss and Pink is so good.
Yeah, I love this song. Very relaxed version of ASAP Rocky, but also again, his production style or the production style for his music is still kind of experimental. Like the core element of the production is a vocal sample in the background, and
Hmm.
then it's like this like sound. So very unusual combination of tracks or elements for the production, and then he's still the songs like LSD, where he is, using these drawn out vocals and such, that's used in the song while also rapping. So a lot of really good elements of his music coming together to make this song. And also, it's like one of the funner songs. Like all of his songs are not super serious, but this one just really feels like a true fun track from him. So that's my number one, if you can believe it.
I 100% can believe it. Kissing Pink is like chef's kiss.
Yeah. What
Amazing,
about you? Do
amazing
you have what's
record.
your favorite? I'm curious for you in particular what your favorite is.
I think I know I don't think I have a like pure favorite because I like a bunch of the different sides, maybe more than most people.
Hmm.
At a certain time, Multiply was my favorite. There was a time in my life when I couldn't get enough of that song. But my
Multiple.
real favorite is probably Suddenly.
Okay.
Suddenly is probably the song that I listen to on repeat the most. From A$AP Rocky. Also him and Tyler, Lost and Found freestyle. That
Oh, if we're gonna
that
count
one
those,
still.
then potato salad probably.
Potato Salad, I actually don't like as much as everybody else, but it's still a good record. I love Tyler and A$AP together. Um, the other one that is like just always have a place in my heart is Trilla with him, ASAP Nas, and ASAP 12E.
Hmm.
So again, we didn't name the same song basically one time. There's a bunch to choose from. Let us know in the comments your favorite ASAP Rocky song from any album, any era. We'd love to hear it. There's no wrong answers. Okay, great catalog. No wrong answers here. When we get into the album, why I like that we went through testing and even at long last ASAP is ASAP's always been a huge collaborator.
Yeah.
You know, he has a ton of songs that's just him rapping. He might get like a feature or a vocal sample, but he always collaborates. You know, not J. Cole, Platinum no features. That's not A$AP Rocky at all. And on this project, the list of features came out beforehand. And we talked about it a little bit in our own private text message. But I think the kind of features that he gets, you know, it's always a little interesting. But now that we've heard the album, is there one that stands out to you in terms of their performance?
I think this one is very easy. The Brent Faiyaz collab between ASAP Rocky and Brent Faiyaz, I think is just immaculate. Immaculate. Brent Faiyaz, probably if I'm making music in this, like in any realm that even neighbors him, I want him on my track. I just want him on the song. Because I think that he provides such a vibe, but also like the aesthetic of his music elevates so much of what anybody else around him is doing. And when you're making like a love song, but still trying to make it masculine, I want Brent Faiyaz. So
I wish that I could stay here.
yeah, but see, he has like he's singing so angelic, but because of Brent Faiyaz's his again it's his aesthetic, but like also the previous songs that he's made, I feel like it allows for other dudes to be on the songs and be vulnerable in a way that I don't think that they would do with other music. Like maybe there's a time in Drake's career where you could have maybe done that, but Drake is his aesthetic and his what he's everything about him has distance from that space. But I think that Brent is there, so you can do a song like "Stay Here for Life" and be like, he's getting vulnerable. He's digging in the feels right now.
Vulnerable adjacent, vulnerable adjacent. I have two on here. Um, the thing, well, I gotta start with this. Sauce Walker on Stop Snitching.
Hmm.
That is one for me that stands out, but that's not my actual answer because I like basically all the features on here. My actual answer is Robbery with Doechii.
That's good.
Um,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I think that is just a song that you don't hear anyone else really making. And that's the kind of song that I'm like, Doechii is the fit for this record. Like getting Doechii was a choice that made this record sing the way it does. And then last but not least, this is like maybe a nod to 12-year-old Adriel. But did not expect to say this in 2026. Will I Am on the end.
Oh,
Very,
is
very
that Will?
interesting. Yeah, Will I Am on the end, very interesting. I don't know last time we talked about Will I Am on this podcast, period. But yeah, I thought he did his thing on the end. So very, very impressed with that. I do want to start with production, and you mentioned one of the songs I have in my notes already, so we can just go right to it, which is Stay Here for Life.
Oh,
One of my favorite songs on this record. Of course, I put this entire podcast onto Brent Faiyaz, so I want to take credit for anything that we like that Brent Faiyaz does.
hmm.
Um, but this song sounds like it could have been on Larger Than Life. They
Yeah.
already have a song on Larger Than Life. You know, they've worked together before. I'm guessing this is part of the swap. It sounds like these were made in the same sessions, but this feels like it could have been on Larger Than Life. And then Rocky using his own vocal chops and distortion on this. It's just the Rocky touch. You know, it's ASAP Rocky thing that makes a song an ASAP Rocky song. But it works here because this is a song where it feels like it's an ASAP Rocky song and a Brent Faiyaz song
Yeah.
all at the same time.
Yeah, the overlap, this is what I'm talking about. That's why I mentioned the overlap. I'm like, if you can get anybody, I mean, if he is ever nearing your aesthetic, just pull him in. So like those predict like the synths, those synths remind me of older ASAP Rocky music, and obviously the distorted, I call it the monster voice, that ASAP Rocky does, but that also fits in this realm as well. So I love this song. This is my favorite song on the album, by a significant margin, actually, I think. So I'm happy that we're highlighting it.
I'm not mad at that at all. You listen, I'm a big Brent Faiyaz supporter.
I've
Even
come
though he
around
cut
on Brent, bro,
No, you
since
have, you have.
the
Even though
very
he's
early
cut the
days.
hair, I'm still rocking with you, Brent. Um, Thinking about this album, I was thinking, what does an ASAP Rocky song sound like? Like, what's the ASAP sound? Because he's kind of moved into different sounds over his career. Testing was so experimental. Some thought it was too experimental. Here we are on Don't Be Dumb. The experiments do continue. Um, but Helicopter is the version I think of the ASAP Rocky sound. There's a few
Oh,
more that fit
you
that,
like that track? Oh God, get it away
but
from me.
very interesting.
Go ahead.
But I think Helicopter is like a version of that sound because I think it has two parts to it. One, that's kind of that tempo that A$AP Rocky likes to rap at, which is on here a couple times. You know, Playa is like a similar tempo. No Trespassing is a similar tempo, not too fast, still high energy. But I think it's kind of that mosh pit energy.
Hmm.
Now like he doesn't really make rage music. Even though I think a lot of the guys from that genre are disciples of A$AP
Yes,
Rocky.
I agree. Isn't that so funny?
Um,
Because his music is
no,
nowhere near where the contemporary version of. Because I remember when he first was like really popping off, like
mm,
there was like songs of his that were mosh music, and then where that is progressed to now with people like even if you think like obviously Playboy Cardi, but you think of like Ken
mm,
Carson, you think of even SD Kid, like
yeah.
his music sounds nothing like that shit anymore. Like it's so far removed.
And I think why Helicopter stands out to me is because one, I think interesting choice for a single. I don't know that I would have went there with the
Me neither.
single, but I think that mosh pit energy in his music is something that made his music stand out at that time. And I think like that's something that he has done well. Even something like Multiply, which the drums are so hip hop. The energy of that song is very rage mosh pit. And again, I've seen him live a few times, so I've seen this mosh pit happen in real life. But I like Helicopter because to me, it's kind of like a rage for rappers. Like A$AP Rocky raps better than all the guys that we just named. SD Kids, Playboy Cardis, Ken Carsons.
Hmm.
None of those guys rap as good as A$AP Rocky. A$AP Rocky doesn't rap as good as Drake, Kendrick, and J. Cole,
Right.
but he's making kind of mosh pit music for someone that can rap. And I feel like we don't really have that's not a thing that we really have talked about ever on this podcast. So Helicopter kind of put me onto it from a production standpoint of like, that's what this is. This is like, you know, really like rage mosh pit music, but the tempo that you can still rap to it.
Yeah, I think that, Helicopter, I think overall, when it comes to A$AP Rocky, I think that he is a person who is trying to fight his past. Because I mentioned this in I haven't well, I mentioned this in our text message where I said there's a period of time where he was gone from 2018 to now where the soundscape of hip hop has so drastically changed that his music almost sounds dated if you listen to it,
Hmm.
right? And even this example that you're bringing up where you're like helicopters like mosh music that you can rap to is like we're past that. Like we're past that. We're at a point now where dudes are just making sounds inexplicit, they're just making sounds and we're like,
Yes,
fuck yes,
yes,
you know what I mean?
yes.
So I think that a song like Helicopter is one of those songs where I'm like, this is a dated song. Like this makes sense in 2016, 15 or something like that. Because this would have been hard back then. This
Hmm.
qualified as hard in 2015. Now this is like, I guess, like, you know.
I,
Um,
I I think you
go
have a
ahead.
point. I think you have a point.
Yeah, my another song I want to bring up that's in the same realm, but I think I like better is "Stop Snitching," right? Which I
Yep.
think is like it's like a similar song, production style. It's got the very weird sound, the dial tone, all that type of stuff. Record
Hmm.
scratching, obviously very spooky. A$AP Rocky loves a spooky track, and I think that that is a little bit cooler because it's less trying to be, the mosh pit hard, very visceral music, and it's more of I don't it's more experimental. I love distortion. It's not fully distorted, but it's like off kilter in a way that kind of reminds me of His name is escaping me. You had him as your number one album 2 years ago.
Schoolboy Q.
Schoolboy Q, right? This Stop Snitching kind of reminds me of a Schoolboy Q song where it's like a little bit more grunge, a little bit more, I don't know, a little darker, spookier. That's what Schoolboy Q song represents, at least to me. This is a little bit more experimental when you have the sirens and stuff like that. So I think that this song kind of tilted more in that realm where it's still modernized because this is kind of like proto injury reserve, but it is
Yeah.
it is definitely still finding a home in his sound, and there is definitely like a space that exists where something like that can emerge from.
I think what we're seeing off this project, and this is kind of why I do think this project is better than I expected. I will say that before we even
Yeah,
get
me
to
too.
the score, is that like what you said about Helicopter is it's not cutting edge. I agree with
No.
you. Like music has moved past that in terms of what the other guys in that space are doing. But why I brought it up and why I'm saying stop snitching to me is like adjacent to that conversation is there's a crowd that doesn't want to hear where it is now.
Hmm.
You know, it's almost too far for some people.
They
For
can't
some
get down with
people,
that Ski
it's
Kid.
no,
Fate
100%,
Mink.
maybe too much for them, you know? And this is what I realized because ASAP Rocky has seemed to not age at all since he came into the game, even though it's been
Facts.
like 15 years. But he's in his mid 30s,
Yeah.
and a lot of his fans are in their mid 30s. And he is one of those artists who at least in the blog era, had the love of the older head group of, hip hop listener, even though he was supposed to be young and hip.
Yeah,
It
that's
was like
true.
it's like he's young and hip, but we still like him. So I
Yeah.
think the internet again, a lot of times the internet, if you're over a certain age, the internet makes you feel like you don't belong there. But I think songs like Stop Snitching, No Trespassing, even Still You Flow, because to me this is like the most rapping he's really done since At Long Last ASAP,
Yeah.
all over the project. And that really lends to me of like that's towards his like older fans, even older than us, where we like the cool production and the new things. We want you to rap. It doesn't have to be over boom bap. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't have to be
Hmm.
over some dusty drums, but we like to hear you rap. So that's something I thought of.
Yeah.
Playa,
I
one
like that song a
one of the
lot.
songs on here that the timeline was instantly a fan of. I like that song a lot. The end of that song reminds me of something from Testing. Um, More like Purity, that song with him and Frank Ocean. It gives me a little bit of that
Hmm.
vibes
I got you.
towards the end when like the drums are out and it's just kind of an ethereal vibe. Um, the one thing I want to mention before I get to come on my last production note and we, guys is like I don't know how many of these songs are actually that different from Testing. That's what I kind of
Oh.
gathered. I re-listened to Testing and re-listened to At Long Last ASAP. I recently listened to actually all the albums, if I'm being honest. I said, oh, am I going, because ASAP is one of those artists who I'm like, the discourse about him isn't always necessarily like matching the actual what the music is.
Hmm.
It's like we review an album, we think like Doja Cat last year. We loved the Doja Cat album. We go outside online, we're like, did y'all hear the same album? Like what is going on here? And so I had that with this album where I was like, what is missing here? Where this album seems to be so much more well received than Testing, but I don't know that it's that different. And I think what I've gathered is the actual execution of the production
Yeah.
because there's a lot of elements on here that he brought to us on Testing, and I think this is where I realize is I don't think that Testing landed clearly where people were like, oh, he's done this before. Some of these sounds and different things he's doing almost feel new, as if, oh my God, we haven't heard of punk rocky before. We haven't heard this before. When I'm like, these aren't that new for ASAP. But as well, I think the tone of Testing, it didn't, I guess people didn't take it as like he was rapping as much. Because another thing I've heard a lot is the old ASAP is back.
Okay.
And I'm like, I don't know if I agree with that either. But it makes me think about perception of an album. What's actually on the album and how it's perceived are often two different things. And so I think how this production is being received opened my eyes to how people really perceive testing. Because there's a bunch of songs on here that I think of and I'm like, he's done this before. He's done a version of this before. You know, for example, you mentioned, was it No Trespassing?
I think so.
No Trespassing to me is like, a version of what he's done on testing. Stop Snitching to me is like a better version of Buckshots.
Right.
Buckshots
Okay.
exists on testing. You
Right.
know, Buckshots also wasn't extraordinary. People didn't love Buckshots, but ASAP has done this before. So I thought that was very interesting of me kind of going back in time and being like,
Mm.
is this really that different than what he's done before? There is one time where it is. Okay. There's a time where it is definitely different, and that's STFU. He doesn't have a song like that in his catalog.
Right. Okay. I want to. What you said just now was brilliant because I never really considered it in that way. But I think you're right. Like I don't want to even combine what I something I mentioned earlier with is that because of the time that has passed since testing, the ideas, the rough ideas that he had during the testing time, we've already progressed. Like the genre has already
Mhm.
progressed past those being experimental, weird ideas, and people have just like crystallized what a good buckshot sounds like. They've
Yeah.
crystallized what all those a good version of all those testing songs. They've crystallized those, and like, yeah, we already dealt with this like 2022. We already finished, perfecting that. We're already on to different stuff right now, and he reemerging and bringing back to life those testing ideas. I agree with you because now I'm really like, listening to the songs while we're talking. I'm seeing where you're coming from a lot. like like a lot. Like I wish I came up with this idea.
Off to a good start in the Big 2-6. Demar's
That's
agreeing with me. I'm doing something right. Oh my goodness.
I'm like
But
this is brilliant because I wish I came up with that. That's what somebody else has a great idea. It's like fuck, I wish I came up with that idea. But I think I
but
agree with you a lot. Wow. I think yeah, you're right. Maybe the only song that isn't like that is Robbery. Um,
Robbery and STFU are
yeah.
two songs that he hasn't really done before. But before we even talk more about those songs,
Mhm.
one thing I think I want to add to this podcast in 2026 that I've been thinking about with this project is the space between how an album is perceived and how good it is has never been greater.
Mhm.
Like this is just something that we have in the internet era where you hear someone talk about an album and you're like, did you actually listen to it or did you read this? Like, like for example, I asked someone if they listen to the ASAP Rocky album. They're not an ASAP fan, they've never been, but that's why I want to hear what they think of the album.
Right.
And he tells me, no, I haven't listened. I haven't listened to new ASAP Rocky in a long time. I'm like, there hasn't been new ASAP Rocky in a long time. But don't worry, you're not missing anything. And he says, all I know is that he's dissed Drake. And I said, that's really just one song, like it's not the whole album. But that's how music listening has become, where in his mind, he thought the whole album was A$AP Rocky dissing Drake because that's what he'd heard so much, you
Oh,
know.
well.
And so in his, I'm like, there's 17 songs here. It's on one record, like it's one verse. It's mostly not a diss. But that made me think about how we view these artists' music again because this is not different from testing that much. And I thought of it. I don't want to give myself all the credit, even though this was a brilliant thing for me. Is A$AP Rocky in the interview said, "This is what young A$AP will be doing in 2026." And
Mm-hmm.
thinking about that, I thought, yeah, ASAP has kind of always wanted to do punk rocky. Like if you've been an ASAP fan, you've kind of seen him dip his toe in there or allude to doing a punk rocky. Maybe he has more, confidence as a man to say, I can do a full punk rocky, perform it on TV, make that my single, lead with punk rocky instead of leading with the multiply. So I think again, it's how these things are being framed, but there's always been these records around. STFU never had heard anything like that before. Um, that is one of those songs that I've heard a lot of people say like it didn't rub them the right way, like they didn't
Mm-hmm.
love. I actually like this record. It's grown on me the more that I listen to it, and I think that's what this whole album is. Like this album is made for at least two listens. Like first listen you might like it, but second listen you might like it even more. Um, but this is what I wonder with ASAP going forward, and we can go into lyrics in a bit, but I'm like the STFU. the Robbery, even Punk Rocky. What is the life for those songs in ASAP Rocky's catalog going forward? Because ASAP Rocky probably has maybe 5 songs on here that we have not heard from any rapper we've ever reviewed on this
Yeah.
podcast. You know, and I think that alone means something. So what do we make of kind of him having all these records that most of them are pretty decent, pretty good, but sounds that again we haven't heard from any rapper we've reviewed on this podcast.
Yeah, I think that his, and I hate bringing this up, but his absence, he's kind of suffered from the absence pretty badly because someone like STFU that we're talking about, where I think is a really good song for him. If he was just around during the time Injury Reserve was releasing music, I think he would have just had a whole EP just working with them, you
Hmm.
know? And because like this is like I could literally hear somebody say Ghost Ride the Tesla like literally on the song. You know what I mean? So I'm like, I think his absence kind of like hurt him in a way because the ideas that he likes that he's doing by himself, that it's alternative hip hop. But his connections and his like music, like when he came up, that's all those dudes are now mainstream, right? Like so when in 2021, what he was doing was kind of experimental, alternative. We weren't even calling it alternative hip hop at that time. We were calling it cloud rap. But cloud rap is a version of
2011, you said 2021, 2011.
11, sorry, 2011. We were calling it like cloud rap, whereas now in 2026, we be saying, yeah, cloud rap is like a descendant of alternative hip hop, right? So the alternative hip hop people the music he likes that music and he likes making that music. He's not linked up with those guys. Like he's gone. Like Brockhampton is gone and he
Yeah.
would have loved a Brockhampton link up, right?
Oh, for
Musically, I'm talking
sure.
about, right? Injury reserve, it's done. He would have loved the injury reserve link up, you know. Um, so I think that because he is gone for so long, he's these touchstones that we're talking about throughout this discography, they would have been, you know, the seventh iteration of that song if he just stayed. Like if he didn't stop releasing music. So I think that for me, when it comes to like STFU and Punk Rocky, these are kind of like vestiges of like kind of like not even like a like almost like love lost or like you know an opportunity that you failed to take in life like it's like you wish you asked out somebody and you never did it and then you're still you know you're still talking about them like 8 years later. Like this is what I think that's what it feels like when I listen to these songs. I'm like, yeah, this would have been sick. You should have released a song with Paris, Texas, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like but again this is alternative hip hop but these guys were like 2019, 2020, 2021, you were gone. You stepped away, and now you're still now songs like Punk Rocky and STFU exist in a vacuum when they should have been on like on a 2 pack with you know like that whole space Paris, Texas, Injury Reserve, those like bands, those
AG
bands.
Club. Yeah.
Yeah. Wait, what did you say?
AG Club.
AG Club, yeah, AG Club, you know, these collective, these bands type of hip hop groups. He was just gone when those were really the people he should have been collaborating with.
Here's the thing, and we talked about this behind the scenes, and I think this is a great lead-in for lyrics for me because we're gonna see, like we're gonna see the effect of this because I don't think ASAP Rocky needs to rely on being part of that community in the same way you do. You know, you think that like he needs to join that community and like be immersed in it. ASAP Rocky, the celebrity, is really past any of that.
I don't think he
And
needs to join it. I think that he would have lived in there.
well,
He would have been jumping off trampolines in that
here's what
club,
I'm
you know?
saying. ASAP Rocky is more famous than everyone you named.
Yeah.
So he's bringing this style of music to a place that actually has never been before.
I see what you're
And
saying.
in reality, it's more a plus for that style. So are we gonna see that style have an emergence because A$AP Rocky's performing punk Rocky on Saturday Night Live? Like, you know what I mean? Like, is that what's gonna happen? Because in reality, all these guys are part of the underground, you
Right.
know, and they may do first week numbers, they may have some big singles like Brockhampton did, but they're part of the underground. A$AP Rocky is bringing their sound to the mainstream.
Right.
And so that's what I'm waiting to see is how does that affect, this sound of music being accepted in the mainstream? Because this is the most mainstream album we've seen, whatever, 5 songs that sound like this.
Hmm.
We don't haven't really had that. So I'm very curious to see what that effect is. Because I think you're right. If he had done this in 2020, do we see every rapper after that try and do an injury reserve song? Like, is that what happens? Like,
Yeah.
we don't know. And my point is that could still happen in 2026. This is probably the most anticipated he's ever had for an album in terms of anticipation leading up to it. And I think in terms of like the boost of it happening, he's had bigger albums right when the albums dropped for sure. Like, that first album was a storm when it happened.
Hmm.
But this is like a storm in a whole different way. So listen, I can't tell the future, but I'm interested to see if there is some kind of effect from an artist like him doing songs like this. Um, I have two set of lyrics, but I'm gonna stay with my one, okay? And we're already long winded here, and I'm gonna mention this song again because this song is a song that we both love. And why I mentioned this record is because this is the version of A$AP Rocky that hasn't really changed in a sense, but matured. Okay, this is Stay Here for Life, and he's talking that like pretty boy playboy type of energy, kind of like when Brent Fayez said he's want to waste your time with me.
Yeah.
This is along those lines. um and I think what's interesting about this is like the kind of things that he talks about in a different way. It's very much like I have money now, okay? I may still be a player, but I have money now.
Hmm.
Okay, I'm established. I'm an adult. Um so let's start here. He says, "It's so hard to think about us. Say goodbye. Don't want the day to end. Ducking paparazzi. My Mercedes Benz 5%. Done the drama. I was trying to drop my op behind a tent. Got to speed and drive to be on time. Your flight arrives at 10. Boy don't cry, but boy that girl turned boys to men. Birdie told me girls don't cry. That's only in Japan. Gone with the wind. If I'm gone, I'm going in. Going rogue, we on 10, get her a towel, throw it in. Fuck you, won't fuck your friend. Fuck sleep, let's fuck again. Fuck you to sleep in my suite, then wake you up, then fuck again. This is the mature version of A$AP Rocky. And why I'm clarifying with the version of A$AP Rocky is because we've reviewed much more mature rappers than this.
Mm.
Okay, much more mature rappers than this. But there's a couple lines on here where he says, fuck you, won't fuck your friend. He's matured. 2011 A$AP Rocky is fucking your friend. Okay? Like, if you guys were there for those lyrics, in the comments, you guys know what I'm talking about, okay? 2011 A$AP Rocky, fucking your friend. 2026
Uh,
A$AP Rocky, won't do it. Will not do it. He's turned his life around. Okay,
oh.
earlier he says, ducking paparazzi. My Mercedes Benz 5%. Done the drama. I was trying to drop my op behind a 10. Now, done the drama. We love that for you, A$AP. Growth, love, and light. But he says, I was trying to drop my op
Oh.
behind a 10.
Oh.
The op talk on this album is so much different because A$AP Rocky hasn't always been big op talk. Now, A$AP Mob, if you knew them in their early days,
Hmm.
would fight.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
They would definitely fight. But he hasn't always been big op talk. This feels like the most op talk I can remember in a while because, again, testing wasn't big op talk. At long last, A$AP was not a lot of op talk. But this one is, and again, this one makes sense because he just went through a couple of trials. Okay, with a
Right.
friend, former friend, putting him away for murder or trying to put him away for murder. So this is where I say he's maturing, where the op talk being so prevalent in this album that he's doing in his mid 30s, if it was another artist, you would be the person saying, "You're 30, whatever, talking about your ops. Like, what are you doing?"
Hmm.
But this is where it makes sense. Like, what I'm
Yeah.
saying? He just had a real case with a real op who used to be his friend going against him. It was a very public case. So this is where I say he's matured, where when he was fighting in the street with A$AP Mob, that could have been big op talk. That would have made some kind of sense. But when it turns to legal troubles, and that's where the op talk comes from,
Yeah.
that feels more mature to me. So again, this is mature for ASAP Rocky in a sense. I'm actually looking forward to more of the dad raps going forward. You know, he's a very, very public facing father. And I think we need more different kinds of rappers in the dad rap space. But I like the song a lot and I like his verse on here.
Yeah, I like that track a lot. I also like the idea of him somehow trying to reject the Playa label, even though nobody believes you. But there's another song that I wanted to highlight that I liked a lot for the lyrics is Robbery. We mentioned this, how it's like different than pretty much every other song that he's done, but it's basically a jazz song, effectively just a jazz song. And I like this section with him and Dochi. Shout out to Dochi. Did an excellent job on this, even in the part where the beat like falls apart and it's just the strings and she's still following just the strings. I thought that was cool. Again, it's very much like a jazz song. When they're rapping together is one of my favorite parts, where is my number one option for sure. You've been running through my mind like an obstacle course. Got my hands on your thighs with my eyes on the door. Cupid shot through my heart. Then I dropped to the floor. Now you get all this blood all over Flacco decor. Know you love your baddie from a tropical shore. Put your bags in my trunk like the top of the Porsche. Plus the rolls opens up like them hospital doors. Ah. I think it's a fun and cool because very rarely do you get, I mean, it's pretty rare in hip hop. Even though we know that it happens, it's kind of rare to hear, people rapping bar for bar, literally. So it's cool to just hear that between A$AP Rocky and Doechii. I mentioned on our own private messages where I said also with A$AP Rocky being gone for 8 years, he missed this entire generation of women that he could have been making music with, because of his, again, debonair, personality, very flashy, again, playboy type of aesthetic, all that type of stuff. So his combinations with women is obvious to a music listener, or at least a person who likes music. It would be pretty obvious for him to have a lot of songs with women, but because he was gone, literally, he left at 2018. You know what also dropped in 2018? Invasion of Privacy. With Cardi
Yep.
B's Invasion of Privacy, right? So he missed if you could draw that line from Invasion of Privacy to now, he's just missed all of that. He has no songs with Doja Cat, no songs with Megan Thee Stallion. No, I don't think he has a Cardi B song. Like all of them, Doechii, everybody. Like he's just missed all of them, right? So to hear him going back and forth with a woman on a track is like a welcome situation, because I'm like, this is such an obvious thing that he should have been doing. And then for the rhyming to go back and forth and be, as it's not super complex, but complex enough where I'm like, oh, this is pretty impressive. I'm just up on this section, and this song overall, the rhyming was really cool. And again, it's like a jazz song and they're rapping it. So I don't know, I think that I like the song a lot. I know that the internet has a hate boner for Doechii because she's a black woman that raps well. Um,
I don't
so
understand it. I
yeah,
don't understand it.
literally it just comes out she's a black woman that raps well. I'm where's
I
the
that
mistake? I'm not seeing it,
I
but
don't that can't be it because she's not the only black woman that raps well. Because the internet also loves Lil Sims, so I don't
right.
know what Lil Sims
But
did
they
that
don't know
Doechii
who she
didn't.
is. When I'm saying they, I'm saying the internet, right?
Yeah,
At
fair,
large, the
fair.
internet at large doesn't know who Lil Sims is. It's people like us who know him in North America. But they know who Doechii is, and that's why they're hating on
Yeah,
her.
I like this record a lot too. I think this is such an interesting version of what he's doing in terms of having a song with a female rapper
Yeah,
because you talked about he missed this whole thing, and this is why I said like we're gonna wait and see for all of this is like no one does this song with a female rapper. Like, if it was a female rapper on their album, she would have been a helicopter. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's what the average rapper would have done. Like, that's the truth. Most
Mhm.
people are not tapping a women rapper to do robbery. We've
Right.
not seen that since 2018. Like, we just haven't seen that. So we talked about him not being a part of it. Like, this is kind of what we're seeing of now that he's came back in the game. We get songs like this that we wouldn't have gotten otherwise. And we talked about the other kind of songs we would hope that he would do. We never said we want A$AP Rocky to do like a jazz stripped away song with
Yeah,
Doechii. Like
no.
that never crossed our mind.
Yeah.
So this was one of my songs for lyrics too. So I'm happy that you mentioned it. But
Mhm.
this is what I mean of I'm kind of in the wait and see with this album. I want to see the effects of the music on this project. I think the actual like commercial success of it, and talk about what it means for his career, separate thing. Separate thing to me. That's, a whole different bag. But some of the music on here is shown to be commercially viable in a way where it wouldn't have been otherwise.
Yeah.
Doechii is smoking hot right now.
Yep.
If you get a Doechii feature, you quote unquote wouldn't waste it on a song like Robbery. You know, that would be your lead single, upbeat song, have her rapping fast, all those kind of things. So for him to make the artistic choice and just choose the art of like, okay, we're gonna do this kind of record, it's unique, it's not going to be even that clear that it's you. You know what I mean? Like those kind of things. That is what I'm excited for. Is are there going to be more of these artistic choices with artists like this? I think about it last year when JID had that song with Eminem, and he said it was not going to be on his album, and it was like Eminem feature not on your album. Okay, the album must be good, and it was. It was, but that was an example of, you're choosing the art over trying to sell 10,000 extra albums first
Yeah.
week. And I think this is what A$AP Rocky did here with this song Robbery, because think about the songs we named earlier. Even the song with Brent Faiyaz, Stay Here for Life. Doechii has a verse on that at the end of that song.
Yeah.
Out of here. Out of here. So I do want to commend him for that. And when we talk about what this means for his career, A$AP Rocky is in a place where his career solidified. There was IDK tweeting that A$AP Rocky is in the big three now. I don't know if he knows how much people can be in a big three, but there's only three spots. A$AP Rocky is not one of them. But I brought that up because he's not that crazy in his process, because once a big three was established and we talked about the next three, A$AP Rocky was always in that next three. And I think had he not gone away, he would kind of be solidified in that spot just because of the actual quality of the music. Now, Future became a bigger artist. Nicki was a bigger artist. Travis Scott even became a bigger artist, as well as Tyler, the Creator. But I think the consistency of actual music from the first three projects, everyone was like, no, his music is actually good on the level of the other guys. Maybe not as big, but the music is good. So he's someone who's a legend. He's already a legacy act. Even though this is only his fourth album, he's already a legacy act. My question is, how many of these songs do you think get added to his set list when A$AP Rocky goes on tour? If he
Mm.
does, how many of these songs get added to his set list? Because I think he has maybe more than he did on testing. I think he
Really
probably can
playa?
add. I think Stay Here for Life, Playa, Stole Your Flow. We didn't mention that song really at all, but I think Stole Your Flow is definitely getting added to his set list. That's like
Yeah.
his, rap all the way through song, 3 minutes, just him rapping.
Yeah.
I think Helicopter gets added because it's a single. Usually the single is going to get added to the set list.
Mhm.
Maybe not for the following tour, but at least
But
for
what
this
is what
one.
does his show look like right now? Like, what is
What
a
do you
ASAP
mean?
Rocky show? What is
High,
that
high
sonically? What is that?
energy.
What is the demo? Like, I'm confused.
Well, it's the same it's always been. It's the same it's always been, honestly. Yeah, like if you see clips from when he headline Rolling Loud, I think it was last year,
Hmm.
it's the same as it's always been. Yeah, like
Okay.
A$AP Rocky is in that Tyler the Creator group where he's gaining younger fans as he gets older.
Okay.
Like I messaged some people I know who are huge A$AP fans, like people who I saw A$AP with years ago. I messaged them about his album. Some fans who I know we grew up listening to this, and then I have one friend who I think she's what 21. I all I said was, "Did you listen to the A$AP album?" Yes, love him, die for him. So yeah, he's kind of like Tyler, where as he gets older, he's still gaining that younger fan base.
Okay.
So I think that will ultimately continue. To me, this is good for his album. I mean, good for his album, good for his career.
Yeah.
I think, establishing himself as still like an elite visual creator, like for to a new generation. Like we remember Peso, Angels, those videos that kind of like stick in your mind, Goldie even. But doing that for a new generation with a new aesthetic, I think is huge. And as well, I think establishing himself as a music star. I think if you like if you're a younger person and you started listening to music in 2019 for real, A$AP Rocky was already a big star,
Yeah,
and you probably came across some of his older songs, but you never lived through an A$AP Rocky rollout.
yeah,
So I think for that fan, this is good for them.
yeah. I'm kind of a little bit. I'm just realizing I'm kind of upset that Taylor Swift isn't on this album, but okay. Um, I think that
Fair.
this album is good for his career because he's back. As a musician, I thought he was gone, to be quite frank. Frank Ocean also in the Kanye zone. Um,
Yes.
but yeah, to be quite frank, I thought that he was done. He is, I would say it in a common law relationship with Rihanna. He has, I think they have three. I think,
Yes.
I think they have three children together, or three, maybe four. Who knows?
Hmm.
There's just more. There's always more. Every time I look, there's more. But he seemed content. Like he's getting all the fashion looks that he wanted at the beginning of his career. He's with Rihanna. He seems happy. Family man seems happy.
Hmm.
There's no reason to come back. There's nothing to prove. There wasn't any real reason. So I thought he was just gone. But he's back. Music is solid, I would say.
Hmm.
So I'm happy for him. I'm looking forward to him collaborating with other people in the future. Do you think there's gonna be a Cozy Tapes 3?
Oh my God, I hope so. But they last year they spent half the year saying A$AP was done.
Okay.
It was like three different interviews where him, Ferg, and Nast were like, A$AP is over with. And I'm like, don't break my heart.
I'm just saying, because
Um,
Cozy Tapes, like, uh, the collaborations on the Cozy Tapes, if you look back on it, is kind of insane. Like
The A$AP mob tapes haven't missed.
The
Yeah.
amount of Playboy Cardi that is on it
Well, he's A$AP mob. I'm not counting him. But like
that
Frank
definitely count.
Ocean, no, but he's part of the mob. Like, how do you not be on the tape? Everyone in the mob is on the tape. Like,
Is
he's
he
the one
still
guy not
part of
getting the
that
tape.
collective now? I don't
Well,
think so.
A$AP is dead. But I'm saying when the
Yeah,
tapes were coming out, he was still A$AP mob. You
yeah.
know. So I'm saying it's not like Cardi is cool. He's Grant. He's always gonna be there. I'm
No,
talking about more like Quavo, Frank Ocean, like
yeah.
Lil
Well,
Uzi, like those features.
yeah.
Crazy.
If you look back on it retroactively, you're thinking of like Chief Keef, Playboy Cardi,
Mm,
um, Frank Ocean, like we mentioned before, Big Sean, obviously, is huge. Frank Ocean, Lil Uzi Vert, like that's big time collabs, bro. Like it's
yeah. So
big, big time, and that's
I want to
Ferg,
see another
Nast, all
one.
that type of stuff.
Yeah. I want to see another one. So I listen. If you want to see another Cozy Tapes 3, get in the comments. Like I also want to hear another Cozy Tapes 3.
Okay,
Let's talk about the cover.
okay. I hate it. I fucking hate it. I hate it so much. I actually despise it. I think it
Ah.
looks I just think it looks what is the correct way? Like not immature, but it looks haphazard in not a very interesting way. I know that like Tim Burton was like his main collaborator for the cover or just like the artistic direction of
Because he's doing some videos too.
yeah. So like just like the visual conceptualization of this music, Tim Burton is heavily involved. Not Tim Burton's best work. Is anybody believing that this is oh yeah, Tim Burton like this is a bullet in the Tim Burton visual sphere? I don't think so.
Here's my take on this. I don't love it either because I think it's almost separate from his actual aesthetic.
Which person?
Like A$AP Rocky, like
Oh,
all
okay.
of these. Like I think like we get it of like that's him with the tie and with the megaphone.
Hmm.
But I think all these aesthetics are just too separate from ASAP's actual aesthetic in real life,
True.
which is still a strong visual representation for this project. So it's almost like you're getting two different things for this project at once, in terms
Yeah,
of
he likes
visuals.
absurdism though. He likes absurdism. He likes like I don't absurdist is probably and surrealist maybe. He's
Yeah,
really
surrealism.
yeah, he's really
The
into that. Like again, Taylor Swift, if you watch that music video, is
mhm.
literally an absurdist dreamscape. Um, so I don't know. He likes this type of art, but can you pull it off?
Well,
Is another
la
question, right?
here's my last thing. I do think though that this is going to age better. I think the
Maybe.
main issue with this album cover is that nothing about this album says ASAP Rocky to you. Like when you actually look at all the characters, I actually understand it. The I love New York, the eyes on the guy in the corner, which is the testing logo.
Hmm.
Like I understand how all these things could be ASAP Rocky from being ASAP Rocky fan, but when you look at the cover as a composite, you don't see this and be like ASAP Rocky for sure. Like that's not the kind of energy it gives. But I do think that some of the music on here you're gonna kind of associate with this album cover because of everything going on and the rollout that this is gonna like feel better, 2, 3, 4 years from now. I'm gonna assume you're not copying the vinyl because you don't usually copy vinyl when you hate the cover.
Yeah, it makes it harder because I don't know if you can see behind me, but there is an open space right there that I've been considering putting
Mm-hmm.
a bunch of shelves with my vinyl records on it, and this would not be one of them to put on display, respectfully. So I would say it's not a vinyl cup. Do you think it is a no skips or vinyl cup?
Um, not a no skips.
Okay.
It's not a no skips, but I could be persuaded into copying this vinyl.
Okay.
I could be persuaded. I wouldn't. But I could be persuasive. If the right employee touches my elbow at the right time. But I could be persuaded. Listen, this is a moment everyone's been waiting for because we want to know what you think as a score, Demar. You had a lot to say behind the scenes. You were very dubious.
Yes,
You
I was.
uncertain. Now that we're here, don't be dumb. ASAP Rocky, what score do you have for him?
I'm gonna give this a 7. This is good. Good. It that's it. Like it's good. There's some good tracks. Like we mentioned, Stole Your Flow. We basically talked about all the tracks that we really like. I
Hmm.
mentioned I didn't like Helicopter. Um, but even the songs I do like, so Playa, I like No Trespassing, Stop Snitching, Whiskey, Robbery, except for Robbery, they sound old. Like these are older songs. Like these should have come out in 2020 or something like that. Um, and they feel, even though that they're well executed, they feel like, I'm talking about Injury Reserve, Brockhampton. I forgot who the other group was, AG Club.
Yeah.
And then there was one other thing. They all existed in 2020 and they have all disbanded, like all of them, right? But he is using and living in that soundscape. So for me, a person who was a massive Brockhampton fan, this is known. But that particular time, Paris, Texas, also Paris, Texas, they were also popping 2020, 2021.
Hmm.
So even though those songs are good, I'm like, yeah, but this is a little bit passe, right? So I think the songs are good. They're a little bit passe. There's a couple of songs. I'm not really a punk rocky fan. Like I get what he's trying to
Hmm.
do. I'm not really impressed. Helicopter, I just straight up didn't like Helicopter. So it's a 7. It's good. I'm looking forward to new ASAP Rocky music. That is how I would frame it. Before I was dubious. Now I'm like, if there's a new album coming out, okay, I can be enticed. What about you?
This is an 8 for me.
Okay,
And
well,
I'm surprised to say that myself. I can't
me
even lie to
too.
you. I did not see that coming. But this album actually gets better the more you listen to it, which is to me, you get plus points for
Hmm.
that in terms of replay value. And this album is better as a full listen. As a full body of work, this album is a lot better than some of the songs on their own. I think the skits actually help pull this album together a little bit. There is some kind of theme in terms of his lyrics on this project. But the thing I think about this project is like very underrated is his rapping on this project. Like there's a section of songs here back to back, Stay Here for Life, Stole Your Flow, Playa, Stop Snitching, No Trespassing, where he's carrying the songs with his voice.
Right.
And it's something that we just don't hear in hip hop as often anymore. So to me, it's an 8. I think a good start in terms of our reviewing of albums in 2026. There's enough range on this project that I really like. I think he executes a bunch of his stabs at new things. We talk about an artist trying something new. and actually, doing good at it. Not all these things are new, but he executes a bunch of these like kind of shots well,
Hmm.
and I gotta give him credit for that. Like I think that's something that is very important. And then what you mentioned about these songs kind of being older sound, I agree with you, but I think those rules don't apply to him. It's kind of like when Miley Cyrus was very, very throwing it back with her album.
Hmm.
It's like you can execute this, you have what it takes. This is separate for you. Even Olivia Dean, who her album is a much older style, it's like doesn't apply to you. If you can do it well, it can kind of transcend. I think ASAP has been gone for so long that it's just like we don't even know what you can and can't do anymore. Like we got to
Facts.
see. But I think he is a big enough artist that he can kind of transcend with these sounds. I think it's either going to be people try to copy him and they can't,
Hmm.
or those people come out of the woodwork and now they have a kind of a light to go towards. So I'm excited to see what this album does in terms of influence on the rest of the year. And let us know in the comments, please. I'm excited to hear what everyone has to say. A$AP Rocky fans, this is your time. You've waited 2 terms for this, okay? Pray for times like this to shine like this. Get in the comments. Let us know what you think. Okay, do you agree with us? We both like the album. Are we too high on it? How do you rank this amongst the rest of his albums? That I want to hear as well. It's too early to say for me. It's not my
Yeah,
favorite, but I think it is might be his most complete album
I have it over
in terms
testing.
of getting all I have over testing as well. So most complete for me, but not his best. But let us know in the comments, guys. Find us on the interwebs. Album Mode Pod on X, Album Mode Pod on Instagram, Album Mode Pod on TikTok as well on YouTube. Album Mode, just Album Mode. We got it, okay? Just Album Mode on YouTube. If you're listening on your podcast platforms, subscribe to us, leave us a rating and a review, 5 stars, not a single star less. Until next time, know yourself, know your worth.
Later days.